This is the High School Crossfire. Welcome back.
Resolved. This House believes that Ubos is solely responsible for these failures in the recently concluded population census. I am going to ask you a few questions and I expect yes or no, no more than that. Are we okay? Are you aware that Ubos works under the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development?
Yes.
Good. Then you agree that Ubos is not responsible for the failure of the census. Do you believe that Ubos is a semi-autonomous body?
Yes.
Then you agree that Ubos is not solely responsible. Thank you. Do you believe that government bodies and entities work in coordination and collaboration for efficient service delivery?
Pardon?
Do you believe that government bodies and entities work in coordination and collaboration for efficient service delivery?
No.
Well, they do. Is Ubos responsible for the natural calamities that took place during the census?
Pardon?
Is Ubos responsible for the natural calamities that took place during the census?
No.
Good, thank you. Did your second farmer say that Ubos is the government?
Yes.
Thank you. You may take your seat. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to tell Team Affirmative that Ubos does not define the government. Ubos is just a body of the government, just like any other body and any ministries of the government. Therefore, it is these other bodies and ministries that we are blaming for the failure of the recently concluded population census, not the government. Team Affirmative do agree with us that Ubos is a semi-autonomous body. It is that Ubos is a semi-autonomous body, therefore it does not have full independence to exercise its duties. It works in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. The Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development was supposed to oversee the activities of the Ubos, allocate funds for the census, and was also responsible for the mobilization of resources. These resources included the gadgets that were used during the population census. However, the gadgets were faulty. Most of them broke down on the first day of their use. How then do we blame Ubos for the faulty gadgets? Yet it was the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development in charge of such. One of the problems that was faced during the population census, ladies and gentlemen, was lack of compliance from the public. How are we supposed to blame Ubos if the Uganda Communications Commission did not sensitize the people about the people felt intimidated and they felt that their privacy was being invaded by the questions that were asked. However, had the Uganda Communications Commission sensitized the masses about the importance of the census, they would not have felt intimidated by such questions. Therefore, we stand to blame the Uganda Communications Commission for its failure to sensitize the masses, leading to the resistance during the population census. Our Team Affirmative do believe that the government works in collaboration, government bodies work in collaboration and coordination to provide services in the country. Why then are we solely blaming Ubos when we had the Ministry of the Office of the Prime Minister? The role of the Office of the Prime Minister is to monitor government policies. One of the government policies was population census. It was therefore its role to monitor how the census was going on, to monitor Ubos. So any failures in the concluded census were not because of Ubos, but because of these other bodies. The Ubos also tasked the local government to recruit enumerators who were supposed to carry out the census. The enumerators that were recruited, some of them were recruited by, some were backdoor recruited enumerators, and others did not have the qualifications. Team of farmers do agree that Ubos is not responsible for the natural calamities that took place during the population census. In Kasese, floods broke out during the population census, and this made it so hard for enumerators to move from one. Thank you.
Resolved. My name is Naomi Gift, the fourth farmer. Dear Speaker, please answer these questions with a yes or no. Were citizens sensitized enough to give out inaccurate data?
No.
Thank you. Did the enumerators have difficulty while using the tablets?
Yes.
Thank you. Did Ubos admit to having glitches in the recently concluded population census?
No.
Thank you. Did Ubos plan well for the census?
Yes.
Thank you. If If it is a yes, then why did they add in the 5 extra days?
I'm answering only close-ended questions.
Thank you. Is Ubos to be blamed for the faulty tablets in the recently concluded population census?
No.
Thank you. Is Ubos responsible for the recently concluded population census?
Yes.
Thank you.
Together with other bodies, not alone.
At what percentage do natural calamities affect?
Though to a smaller percentage, they do
Thank you.
affect.
Was Ubos funded?
Yes, it was.
Thank you. Take a piece. Dear panel, our resolution for today states that this house believes that Ubos is solely responsible for the failures in the recently concluded population census. Dear panel, as we team farmers come and tell you that Ubos is solely responsible, and the negators come and tell us that Ubos is a semi-autonomous body. And our dear panel, I ask them a question. Was Ubos funded? So if Ubos was funded, who funded Ubos? Ubos was funded by the Ministry of Finance. Our dear panel, that means it carried out the coordination, and it coordinated with the Ministry of Finance and sensitization and population and the population census. And the population census was carried out. But our dear panel, our issue for today is Ubos came out and admitted the glitches in the recently concluded population census. They admitted, the Uganda Bureau of Statistics admitted that there have been glitches in the census exercise, for which they take responsibility, according to monitor.com. Our dear panel, we came here and presented the glitches and where the faulty gadgets. And I asked them a question. Is Ubos responsible? Is Ubos blamed for the faulty gadgets? And they said no. Our dear panel, how is Ubos not responsible for the faulty gadgets? How is Ubos not blamed for the faulty gadgets? Yet it came out itself and accepted that it is responsible for the glitches that happened in the recently concluded population census. How dear panel, I don't understand. I asked them a question. Were citizens sensitized enough to give out inaccurate data? Our dear panel, we got to know that among the failures that were in the recently concluded population census was the inaccurate data given out. And the citizens gave out the inaccurate data, dear panel. And yes, I asked them a question, were citizens sensitized enough to give out inaccurate data? And they said, yes. Dear panel, Ubos never sensitized enough. We are blaming Ubos because it never sensitized enough. And that's why citizens ended up giving inaccurate data. Our dear panel, the team negative does not know what it is talking about. I asked them, at what percentage is natural calamities? At what percentage did the natural calamities affect the recently concluded population census? Our dear panel, we are looking at what is to be blamed solely, and we are not going to look at the least percentage of the natural calamities. The natural calamities affected this population census least, and we are looking at how, and we are looking at God. As we team farmers, we clearly stand at what we are saying. We are saying that Ubos is solely responsible. And with that, I rest my case.
Tonight's resolution was one where we are supposed to apportion sole responsibility on an agency of government for the failures in the recently concluded population census. I like the first speaker a lot because she summarizes and says the following were what she saw as glitches: poor training of enumerators, lack of access to information about the census, poor or no remuneration for enumerators. Some of them were not paid after a given number of days. Some of them even had a sit-down strike. So, my entire judgment is based off that. First of all, on the issue of faulty gadgets, Team Affirmative is able to convince us that it is the responsibility of Ubos to plan and procure the gadgets. Ministry of Finance simply gives you money. So if you procure wrongful gadgets, it's you to blame. That's ministry. That is Ubos. Tick. Next up, non-payment of enumerators. If at all the enumerators are directly under the census exercise, whose oversight is by you people, if they are not paid or if they are paid late, it is due to your poor planning. As they say, they first give you a budget. You said, no, the budget is not enough. Give us more money. They give you more money. You say, no, add us more days. They add you more days. No excuse. So, non-payment, Ubos. Sensitization. You've been told that it is Ubos that compiles the sensitization information. UCC's role is to disseminate that information. So if the information is not disseminated to everyone, you cannot come and say, UCC, you did not. No. Give me the information and I educate the masses. If I do not have adequate information, if you have not told me, sensitize them about this, then I have no template. Ubos is to blame. Next up, recruitment. Now, recruitment was a major clash point because Team Negative seems to say that the recruitment is done majorly by local government. But Team Affirmative tells you that if you are going to recruit persons who are directly under the census exercise, even when you ask for help from the local government that's carrying out backdoor exercises, supervise that. That is to blame. Now remember, in this resolution, if Team Negative was able to convince us of only one other thing that can be blamed, they would win the resolution. Came up the issue of natural calamities. Now that is where I believe the debate was won and lost. Team Negative comes and says that natural calamities are to blame for the glitches in the census. But Team Negative, you break the plate at the door. For example, if you're to say floods affected an enumerator and they are to blame, floods are to blame for what glitch? Is it because of floods that people were not paid? Is it because of floods that the gadgets were malfunctioning? Or is it because of the floods that not everyone was sensitized?
Team Affirmative. For me, the team that won the debate today was a team that was able to draw a causal link between whatever they were blaming to the failure of the population census. And also a team that understood the resolution we had today. So we begin with a Team Affirmative. Personally, for me, first speaker, Team Affirmative, you are my best speaker of this debate. So you begin by explaining to us what Ubos does. You begin by, I'm not going to delve into what Judge Calvin has said. You tell us the various glitches that have happened, and you very well enough attach them to Ubos, because you inform us that, you know what, at the end of the day, as much as Team Negative is talking about various other stakeholders in the population census, at the end of the day, Ubos was the one that was supposed to do the hands-on job, and it failed. You tell us about the poor training, the recruitment, and the best part for me was when you actually define what solely means, and you portray it in your entire speech from first speaker affirmative to the last speaker affirmative. Now moving on, personally for me, you satisfied to me by telling us that for a body that had 10 years to prepare for a population census, and it still asks for more time, more money, yet it was availed those things, it has totally failed us. Now, the best part was when you people actually asked these people that what percentage of natural disasters affected the population census. Now, Judge Calvin has already delved into that. Now, moving on to Team Negative. Now, Team Negative, you begin by totally misinterpreting the resolution. The resolution we had today was not a policy debate. That is why they kept on wondering, why are you asking for a body? Why did you even come as Ubos? The resolution we had today was a value debate. So why were you telling us what you are going to do, how you're going to do it? It was totally unnecessary. What you had to do for us is to show us who is solely to blame.
Yeah, thank you so much. I also want to begin by appreciating both teams. On top of appreciating the first affirmative person, I also want to appreciate the third negator. Yeah, that was really good. At least you understood the assignment of comparative analysis for a third speech. Now, this was it. Team Negative, you came up, actually, I don't want to repeat what the other judges said, but Team Negative, you came up and brought an argument of, you know what? Yes, this is something to do with collective bargaining. Ubos is not an independent body. It is a body that is working hand in hand with other government agencies. For example, the Parliament, for example, the Office of the Prime Minister, for example, the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development. However, they came up and they told you that, no, actually, why are you blaming the parliament? For example, why are you blaming the Ministry of Finance? Because at the end of the day, Ubos was given the money it needed. At the end of the day, the parliament did what it was meant to do. So if that is what, or if they did what they were meant to do, then why do you blame them? Then number 3, this is a piece of advice to Team Negative. Next time, how I wish you'd do what they call a total rebuttal. In a circumstance of what, if you would come and argue that, you know what, actually Ubos did what it was meant to do. Because let me give you the first thing. The first thing that Ubos was meant to do was organize the population census, which it did. So in your first speech, you actually came up and said, yes, Ubos might have had some challenges. But at least next time, what about if you said that, know what, the biggest responsibility that Ubos had was to organize the population census. So despite the fact that there were at least some challenges that were faced, Ubos is not to blame, because at the end of the day, Ubos was able to fulfill the responsibility it was meant to do. Style, I give both of you 13. Content, I give them 23. I give you 22. They had more content to do with statistics. Strategy, I give them 24. I give you 21. In totality, I give them 60%. I give Team Negative 56%. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a unanimous judgment of 3 votes out of 3 that Team Affirmative takes it. Thank you.